Well, let's apply two standards to the disclosure requirement. The first standard is the duty to disclose any fact known to the agent that could affect the prospective purchaser's ability to use and enjoy the property. What if a purchaser wanted to install a swimming pool or a tennis court, but learned after the closing that it was not possible because a utility easement prevented it? Do you think that buyer could file a complaint against a realtor who deliberately withheld such information? What about a buyer who finds out after the fact that the bathroom in the basement was installed without the necessary permits and COs, and the bathroom has to be removed because it doesn't meet the necessary code requirements? The second standard concerns motivation. Any disclosure that concerns the motivation of your client, either to buy or sell, is usually deemed to be confidential, unless the client authorizes the disclosure of such information. So facts like a seller being transferred, or selling because they have college-age kids, or selling because of a divorce, would all be deemed to be confidential under the scope of your agency relationship, and should not be disclosed unless the seller has authorized such disclosure. What about ghosts? It may sound like a humorous question, but the disclosure, or in this instance, non-disclosure of ghosts, actually led to a lawsuit in New York. In the matter of Stambovsky versus Ackley, also known as the haunted house case, a buyer took legal action against the seller for failure to disclose the fact that a house was haunted, and won. The Appellate Division of the New York Supreme Court found that the buyer should have been informed about the ghosts. They were supposedly a very friendly family of pre-Revolutionary War ghosts, or so the story goes. Fortunately, to clear up the issue of stigmatized properties, the New York State real property law was amended in 1995 to clarify that a seller or their agent have no obligation to disclose issues that are deemed non-material. These issues include the fact that the listed property was the site of a murder, suicide, or other death, or any other felony. If you note Standard of Practice 2-5, it says that factors defined as non-material by law or regulation are considered not pertinent for the purposes of Article 2. Consequently, those issues deemed non-material by the 1995 Stigmatized Property Amendment to the Real Property Law would also be exempt from any disclosure requirements mandated by Article 2. Hopefully that clarification puts the ghosts to rest. Let's look at some property conditions that do require disclosure under Article 2 and see how Fred deals with them.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, Joe, in this market, your home is going to really stand out. It's got tons of character, and homes dating from the 1800s are tough to find, especially in such good condition. I don't think we'll have any problem moving it quickly. Yeah. Oh, don't worry about that. All these old houses have some imperfections. They're considered quaint. Really? Huh. Well, what home that's almost 200 years old isn't going to have some water in the basement? This isn't new construction. No, I really don't think that there's an issue with that either. Leak in the ceiling, really? Huh. Look, Joe, anybody who buys your property is most likely going to have a home inspection. It's up to the inspector to find out those things. Have you ever heard of caveat emptor? That's right, buyer beware. Well, the buyer needs to make sure they do their due diligence, too. If they want to know the condition of the property they're buying. What happens if they don't have a home inspection? Well, that's their problem, not yours. Not to worry, Joe. It'll all work out.
I think Fred's the one that needs to worry. It's obvious that Fred is being told by the seller about certain property defects, like water in the basement and a leaking ceiling. Article 2 doesn't say anything about buyer beware. It says a realtor has an obligation to avoid misrepresenting or concealment of pertinent facts, two things that Fred does not seem to be doing a very good job of avoiding. Let's see if Patty, another realtor whom we'll see again, does any better. Here she is receiving a phone call from Fred on one of her listings.
Yeah. Hi, Fred. What's up? Of course I know my listing on Elm Street. We have an accepted offer on it with one of your buyers. We have a problem? What kind of problem? The taxes are off by over $2,000. Now, don't yell at me, Fred. I just listed what the seller told me his taxes were. No, I don't have time to go to City Hall to check the taxes for each one of my listings. That's ludicrous. What? What about the square footage? That's off too? What do you mean? Well, I calculated the square footage myself. It includes the finished basement that the seller completed last year. Did he get the necessary permits? Well, Fred, how would I know that? Do you think I'm a mind reader? No, I didn't question him on it. I assumed he got the necessary permits. No, I've already told you I didn't go to Town Hall to verify the permits. I have more important things to do. Well, if he didn't get the permits, it's probably because he didn't want his taxes to go up. Look, I didn't deliberately misrepresent anything. The information came from the seller. Now, Fred, I've already told you once, don't raise your voice with me. If your buyer's upset, tell him to go find another house to buy.